There's a quiet kind of pain that doesn't bleed. It doesn't scream for attention or show itself in ways the world can easily recognize. But it's there, constant, invisible, and heavy. It doesn't knock you off your feet. It doesn't shatter you in a single moment, but it follows you like a shadow. Some days it's a whisper. Other days, it's a storm inside your chest. And the strangest part is, you don't even know where it came from. You just know that something isn't right. That despite the laughter, the success, the appearance of normalcy, something deep within you aches. Carl Jung had a name for this. The shadow. The shadow is the part of yourself you were never allowed to be. It's the collection of emotions, instincts, and traits that didn't fit into the image you were told to project. From the moment we're born, we're taught which parts of ourselves are acceptable and which are not. Don't cry, don't get angry, don't be weak. So we split ourselves in two. We keep what's loved and we hide what's not. But what's hidden doesn't die. It waits, it grows, it takes root in the unconscious and begins to shape our lives from behind the curtain. Every moment you've swallowed your truth, every time you said, "I'm fine," when you weren't, every time you smiled while secretly drowning. That's where the shadow grows. It's not evil. It's not trying to destroy you. But it will try to get your attention. And if it can't do that through your awareness, it will do it through your suffering. It comes out in self-sabotage, in the way you lash out at people you love, in the constant anxiety you feel even in safe places, in the way you chase validation, only to feel empty when you get it, in the patterns you swear you're done with, but always repeat. You think it's bad luck, or maybe you think something's wrong with you. But Jung would say, this is the unconscious, acting itself out, trying to become conscious. He wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." And isn't that what so many people do? They blame the world, they blame their circumstances, they even blame themselves. But what they don't realize is that they're not broken. They're simply disconnected from parts of themselves that were never allowed to exist. The shadow is not a mistake. It's not a flaw. It's the wounded child inside you that had to grow up too fast. The rage you were never allowed to express. The grief you never had permission to feel. The needs you learned to hide because you thought they made you weak. And now that shadow lives in your relationships, your triggers, your dreams, your shame. You don't need to fight it. You need to understand it. Because healing doesn't come from pretending to be better. It comes from feeling what you were never able to feel. From finally telling the truth to yourself. The truth that you're hurting, that you're tired, that you've been carrying pain that doesn't even belong to you. That the pressure to always be strong has made you forget what it feels like to simply be human. This is not about fixing yourself. It's about remembering yourself. About realizing that those pieces you've buried, the softness, the sadness, the fear, they were never wrong. They were just inconvenient. They made people uncomfortable, and so you learned to hide them. But those pieces are still there, waiting to be seen, waiting to be felt, waiting for you to stop running and finally come home to yourself. Jung believed that wholeness is not found in perfection. It's found in integration, in owning your darkness as much as your light, in realizing that your pain, your flaws, your scars, they are not proof of your weakness. They are the map back to your soul. And the journey of facing that pain? It's not clean, it's not poetic, it's messy, it's terrifying. It can feel like losing your mind. But that's because you're losing the false self, the mask you've worn to survive, the persona you've constructed to be accepted. And when that mask starts to fall, It can feel like you're unraveling, but you're not. You're revealing. And what you find underneath may surprise you. You'll find that the parts of you you've hated the most were simply misunderstood. That your sensitivity was never a weakness, it was depth. That your anger wasn't toxic, it was a boundary trying to be heard. That your sadness wasn't a burden, it was your body grieving what it never got. But to get there, you have to stop pretending. You have to stop numbing. You have to sit in silence with the parts of yourself you've tried to outrun. That's where the transformation happens. Not in the doing, but in the being. In the raw, unfiltered honesty that most people spend their lives avoiding. If you're listening to this right now and something in you is resonating, know this: you're not alone. And more importantly, you're not broken. You're responding to years, maybe decades, of repression. You're waking up to the truth of your own humanity, and it's painful, it's disorienting, but it's also the beginning of something sacred. Because once you start this process, once you commit to facing your shadow, you begin to reclaim the pieces of yourself you never knew were missing. You begin to feel again, to breathe again, to live, not from fear, but from truth. This is not about becoming someone new. This is about remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. Before you were taught to shrink. Before you were taught to hide. Before you were told your emotions were too much. Sometimes healing doesn't feel like healing. It feels like rage. It feels like grief. It feels like breaking apart into pieces that no longer fit the person you used to be. It feels like pain resurfacing from places you've buried for years, memories you thought you forgot, wounds you thought time had closed. It's not peaceful. It's not poetic. It's chaos. It's shaking at 2 a.m. with tears you can't explain. It's staring into the mirror and not recognizing yourself. It's the disorienting confusion of letting go of what you thought was your truth. It's the silence that follows a scream only your soul could hear. It's confronting the raw, unfiltered parts of you that you've avoided your entire life. Healing often looks like destruction, because to rebuild, you have to tear down what no longer serves you. You have to burn illusions. You have to mourn the version of you that clung to survival instead of freedom. You have to feel it all, the rage, the fear, the longing, before you can release it. And that's where most people turn back. Because healing isn't always soft. Sometimes it's savage. Sometimes it demands that you scream into the void, that you collapse on the floor and let yourself unravel completely without needing to hold it together. Because healing is not about becoming who you were. It's about unbecoming everything you were told to be, and finally listening to the voice underneath all the noise. It's about becoming whole. And wholeness includes your rage. It includes your grief. It includes your fire. True healing is not light without darkness. It's the light you find because you were brave enough to face the dark. If you're listening to this right now and something in you is resonating, know this: you're not alone. And more importantly, you're not broken. You're responding to years, maybe decades, of repression. You're waking up to the truth of your own humanity, and it's painful, it's disorienting, but it's also the beginning of something sacred. Because once you start this process, once you commit to facing your shadow, you begin to reclaim the pieces of yourself you never knew were missing. You begin to feel again, to breathe again, to live, not from fear, but from truth. This is not about becoming someone new. This is about remembering who you were before the world told you who to be, before you were taught to shrink, before you were taught to hide, before you were told your emotions were too much. Jung didn't just give us psychology. He gave us a path to inner wholeness, a way of healing that doesn't require pretending, a way of being that honors everything, even the darkness, especially the darkness. So don't run from your pain. Don't silence it. Don't numb it. Listen to it. Let it speak. Let it guide you. Because what feels like falling apart may actually be the beginning of finally becoming whole.